That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Hey there, it's another beautiful day. And today is July 20th, and it marks the 55-year anniversary since humans first walked on the moon. Or did they? Let's watch some stuff.
Proof that NASA's moon landing was fake. Watch this video carefully. Focus on their vehicle. Their vehicles look so fake. Now focus on the flag. We know that moon doesn't have atmosphere. Then how is the flag moving with air? The flag is also not moving down due to the moon's gravity.
That is a very good question. And the answer to that is, I don't know. Because I don't know. I don't know why that little part is flapping like that. I know that there was a rod inside of the flag, and for some reason it didn't quite make it past quality control. I mean, we got everything else up there all in its proper assembly, but for some reason the little tiny choo-choo thing in the flag, it just doesn't work properly. So it didn't open. It didn't do the openy thingy, and why it's flapping? I don't know. I'm sure there's some grand scientific explanation for that. Hey, thank you so much for stopping by today. If you're having a good time, do me a favor and just hit that like button for me. It'll really help out my channel. If this is the kind of stuff that you like, hit that subscribe button and come back tomorrow because I'm making a new video every day.
Neil Armstrong's spacesuit. Look at the bottom of the shoe.
Now look at this footprint. Does this footprint match the bottom of that boot? I think not. Something seems staged. Can you guys please explain?
Dumb. They actually had overshoes. That's what they're called. They're like moon overshoes that go over that part of the suit. It's part of the suit. Yeah, that's why the footprints are different, because they were wearing the overshoes.
Okay, so this episode of Prove It's Flat is going to go over one of my favorite arguments that flat earthers have, which is that the moon is actually a projection by NASA onto the firmament. Now, funny thing about that is that that would mean the moon is 64 years old. So apparently, if you are 65, you saw an amazingly large spherical object appear in the sky overnight. Sounds legit. Let me go ask my dad.
I was going to call my mom and ask her, and then I remembered that at that time she would have been 2. I don't think a 2-year-old would remember this particular event happening. Besides, there's lots of documentation and pictures and all of this other fun stuff that proves that no, the moon is not a projection by NASA. Sorry. Now, if it's a projection by someone else, that's still up in the air now, isn't it? I mean, not for me, but for anybody else that believes that there's a firmament in flat Earth and that the moon's a projection, but not me.
He proves that the moon landing video is completely fake. In the middle of the desert in the United States, he found the spot where this moon landing scene was filmed. It's quite compelling and shocking. You should know that a Google artificial intelligence was presented in Russia. This AI can determine if a video is fake or not, and it can do this for any video. During the presentation at the Kremlin in front of Vladimir Putin, he chose the moon landing video to see if it was fake or real. This AI declared that the NASA moon landing video was completely fake. NASA admitted that it was a fake video because they supposedly lost the original, according to their tweet. Elon Musk said, I understand better why we haven't gone back, because even today we would have trouble doing it given our technological capabilities, which is pretty crazy.
I did not know that. So I had to look it up. And apparently, yes, NASA does not have the original footage of the moon landing. Like somehow it got recorded over. But they didn't fake the moon landing in order to have the footage. What they did was they took like the stuff that was broadcast, because they have like a recording that was broadcast. It's not, the original, hey, we're here on the moon recording it stuff. It's the stuff that they put over the airwaves. So that's the footage that they have, and it's been digitally mastered. So perhaps the AI sensed the digital remastering and was like, nope, it's a fake. Or maybe they never went to the moon. I'm still team we went to the moon.
Over 50 years ago, Neil Armstrong took the first historic step on the surface of the moon. Nearly 1 billion people watched it live on television. However, did you know that NASA seems to have erased the original footage? At the time, the agency was solely focused on the technical challenge of beaming a live broadcast from the moon, a picture which was sent 240,000 miles down to Earth, where they then filmed it off of a TV monitor and sent it back up onto a satellite for people to watch. When NASA started looking for the original tapes several years ago, they couldn't find them. So now, the only footage of the first steps on the moon is what was shown on TV in 1969.
He said it way better than I did.
Right. First of all, who took this picture? Not how expensive it is to fly to the moon, apparently. So did they say, like, hey, send 2 of them up, you follow him, and take pictures? Why? Here it is again. But the moon's just totally changed colour this time. Look at this sketchy man. He's blitzing about on his buggy, right? And there's no tyre tracks. You'd see by the wheel he's blitzing about, but no tyre tracks. Footprints are alright, but not tyre tracks off the buggy. And how the fuck did they get this buggy in this tiny little tinfoil ship? I mean, look at the size of it compared to him. So how'd the buggy get on there? Squash up, boy, oh, gonna have to put a buggy in. Look at the feet on it, man. It's just a massive frying pan with tinfoil, gold tinfoil. Nowhere that went, nowhere near the moon, that. Oh, 'cause rockets light up in a vacuum. And who took this picture, like? Would they just stand on the moon, get weird there, boy, or we'll be back next year for you on Apollo fucking 13?
This guy is so funny. He's hilarious.
What China found that's worth $1.5 quadrillion. China's Chang'e 5 found helium-3 in a lunar regolith. Now, helium-3 isn't brand new or anything. We've known about it here on Earth since 1939, but we've only found it in incredibly small quantities, and not only that, it is very expensive. Now, to understand what makes helium-3 such a perfect fuel source for nuclear fusion, we need to push up those glasses because it's about to get nerdy. Helium-3 is an isotope of helium. It's unique because it's the only stable isotope of any element that has more protons than neutrons. That's important because, in theory, a nuclear reaction of helium-3 and deuterium would produce almost 165 megawatts of power per gram of helium-3. Now, to put that into perspective, all of New York City uses about 11,000 megawatts of power per day. That's every house, every light in Times Square, every subway car, all of it. So to power all of New York City for an entire day, all you need is about 66 grams of helium-3. That's it. And we'd only need 25 tons of helium-3 to power the entire United States for a whole year. And probably the best part, on top of all of that, helium-3, when broken down, doesn't produce radioactive waste, so there's nothing for us to sort of clean up and store and have to deal with. There is an estimated 1.1 million metric tons of helium-3 on the moon. So we're talking about actual, real, clean energy on a global scale. So on the positive side, it's incredible that humanity has made. The downside, and I guess a controversial one, is that this discovery was made by China, who doesn't necessarily have the longest history of, let's say, transparency when it comes to the government. China has already said that they not only have a way to extract the helium-3 from the lunar surface, but also have plans on how to retrieve the isotope and transport it back to Earth on a large scale. When the world, understandably, asked how they were going to do that, China did not provide that information, hence that whole transparency issue. Now, a lot of mining has to be done in order to extract just a small amount of helium-3, so whether China has a solution or not for these problems, we have to remember that China doesn't own the moon. Other space agencies can, and likely will, conduct their own mining missions on the moon in an attempt to claim their small part in a 1.5 quadrillion fortune. The execution of this type of nuclear fusion using helium-3 on a large scale is still a ways off, but the new gold rush seems to have begun, except this time, it's on the moon.
We've talked about helium-3 on this channel before, and how fantastic it would be to use it for our energy. That's why the whole new space race thing is happening. Everybody's trying to get up there to find out what we can mine. And if that helium-3 really is something that is that fantastic, it's gonna be a problem. I can see it. It's gonna be a problem. We're all gonna go to the moon and try to get it, and yeah, it's gonna be issues. But we're gonna find out some stuff about the moon. There's a lot of stories going around that it's possibly, hollow, or it's shallow, like all of the impact craters are all the exact same depth because it's a hard surface, stuff like that. Yeah, we're gonna find out what's going on the moon.
On October 4th, 1957, the Soviet Union successfully launched the Sputnik satellite, suddenly shocking the West in the United States by both establishing and pulling ahead in a space race. The United States now had a very real worry that they would come in second in this race to the next great milestone, establishing a presence on the moon. And so, in 1959, the U.S. Army responded with this, Project Horizon, a complete and detailed report on how to create and maintain an outpost on the moon. Now declassified multi-volume report spans hundreds of pages. It gives specific and technical recommendations for everything from launch and landing sites on Earth to the dimensions of subterranean living quarters to the costs of nuclear-powered Saturn rockets. If you're a space nerd, it's a fascinating and educational read with some gorgeous artist renditions. I'll put a link to it in the comments if you want to peruse it yourself. Project Horizon is especially interesting because time was of the essence. It represents what the United States Army believed it could do with 60s technology, and it was quite a lot. Quote, Project Horizon represents the earliest feasible capability for the U.S. to establish a lunar outpost. By its implementation, the United States can establish an operational lunar outpost by late 1966. End quote. Everything in these reports in just 6 years would surely put the Soviets on the back foot.
So there was plans to build stuff on the moon. Like stuff. 10 years before we ever actually made it to the moon. I mean, that's ambitious. I'm pretty sure it's been updated since then, and they're probably working on something now. If this helium-3 stuff is up there, they're gonna get up there. Oh, and don't forget, we've already got money invested in
moon trains! There are 6 American flags on the moon, and nobody can zoom in and take a photo of them. The moon is big, all right? The width is about the size of the United States. The most extreme satellites in orbit around Earth can zoom into Earth's surface at a resolution of about a foot in diameter, which means anything less than a foot, you're not going to know what that is. So you would kind of be able to see an American flag, but not really. This is from orbit around Earth, so about 100 miles away from Earth's surface. And you want us to zoom into the moon, 238,900 miles away, and see a flag there? That's unfortunately not even close to possible. There are, however, satellites around the moon which do a much better job. NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter can have a resolution of 0.5 meter on the lunar surface. Here are its photos of the Apollo landing sites. You can see boot print paths and lunar modules and flags. Here's one, and here's another. Here's a photo from India's Chandrayaan-2 spacecraft, which shows the Apollo 11 landing site, but the flag was too little to see. Moral of the story, we do have photos of the flags on the moon, but only if you believe that we have satellites around the moon, which we do.
I swear, if it's not one thing, it's another. Oh, you ask for proof, here's the proof. Oh, wait, but I don't even know that there's actually satellites out there. Really?
Let's look at another claim there is evidence the moon landing was fake.
Not even going to point out the fact that this shadow from this little lander here went all the way to the horizon of the moon.
That is not actually the horizon. Here is another photo from Apollo 11, but from further out. See how the shadow does not reach the horizon from this angle. That's because there is a crater right behind the lunar module, just a few feet away. And because the first picture was taken from the position here, you see the edge of the crater which looks like the horizon. The position of the crater is confirmed by this recent picture from an Indian moon orbiter. Here is the crater and the position the photo was taken. Aren't hoaxers tired of every so-called proof the moon landing is fake being debunked? Yet, Hoaxes can't explain away the evidence that prove the moon landing is real.
To which the moon landing doubters would obviously reply with, how do you know there's actually satellites up there? Which is a very valid point, because I've never been into space. I can't say definitively, yeah, they're up there. I believe they're up there. Like, I almost 99% know that they're up there, right? There's always that little shred of doubt that maybe it's all fake, right? You gotta have that. But yeah, 99% of me says, yeah, it's up there. I'm still team we went to the moon. On that note, thank you so much for sharing your time with me. Come on back tomorrow. We're going to watch some new stuff. I'll say different things, and it's going to be fantastic. Until then, have a wonderful day.